For so many of us, life without electronic gadgets simply isn't an option. Well, there's a good chance at least one of those gadgets is being affected by a potentially devastating design flaw, which could leave the door open to hackers. The flaw was found in chips made by Intel, ARM, and AMD. Apple confirmed almost all of its devices are affected. That means every iPhone, iPad, and Mac device could be at risk of being hacked. Billions of people's personal data could be exposed to cybercriminals. Apple is warning customers to download software only from trusted sources like the App Store, and says it has already taken measures to protect consumers. But the security flaws called Meltdown and Spectre affect all kinds of devices like smart TVs and computers, also the GPS in your car, and even baby monitors. For more on this, we're joined now by Mark Nanakovan in Ottawa. He's Vice President of Cloud Research at Trend Micro. So, Mark, first of all, what is it that's going wrong here exactly? Can you explain?
Yeah, so simply put, what this is a flaw in the way that these chips were designed that lets everyday applications access protected areas of those electronics. So your normal word processing app, if it was infected, might have the ability to access the secure credential area in your computer. So it's providing that unauthorized access, which is obviously a very bad thing.
And do criminals know about this already? I mean, obviously it's getting lots of publicity, but has there been any evidence yet that this vulnerability is being exploited?
Yeah, so that's the good news. Right now, there has been no proof of seeing this out in the wild. We just have the information from the researchers, and this actually leaked ahead of time. I think it's really important to call out that this was something that the security community and the development community was expecting. It was supposed to go live and be made public next week, but some reports leaked out early and with partial information, so the full disclosure went ahead, which is why everybody seems a little frantic. But behind the scenes, things are moving along quite quickly and quite safely.
But aren't you supposed to let consumers know right away when they're vulnerable? I mean, don't executives and companies get in trouble when they're aware of some kind of a breakdown? They don't let people know, and you're saying it was planned to be released next week. We only know because of a leak. Is that all appropriate behavior?
Yeah, and that's a really, really good point, Diane. So what the difference is between knowing that there's a breach and knowing that there's a vulnerability. So knowing that something actually happened and a cyber criminal had stolen your data, companies are absolutely obligated by law to let you know. We have breach notification coming here in Canada early this year that will require that public notification. But when there's a vulnerability, and that's what this is a potential issue that could be taken advantage of, what companies do behind the scenes is they work to make sure that that's fixed and that there's a resolution available so that when it does become public and that more people know, both users as well as criminals, that there is a resolution for it.
Okay, so you're saying that theoretically they've got patches in place and software fixes, and maybe there's a chance that all of these devices that we're talking about may not be able to be compromised. Do we even know that yet?
So this is the challenge we have in security when it comes to technology. Is right now it's a race for all of us to update our devices. This is where that handy feature that sometimes really annoys you, that your phone pops up and says, would you like to install an update right now? This is where this comes into play for us. You want to be saying yes. When your phone or your tablet or your computer says, I have an update, I want to install that. Right now, that may take a couple minutes out of your day, but that's what's going to deploy the fix for this so that you will no longer be vulnerable.
Okay, so what's the next step, you think, in all of this?
Yeah, the next step is really making sure that we're used to this sort of update process. This is by far the number one thing that you can do as a user, that businesses can do to protect themselves. We see time and time again, unfortunately, that the vast majority of hacks and cyber criminal attacks take advantage of known issues. So Equifax is a unfortunately public example here, where they were breached by an issue that was known in March, and a fix was available in March, and they got hacked in the summer. So we as users, we as companies need to be aware and used to this cycle. When there is an update, we need to be able to deploy it quickly and to make sure that it's done correctly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed, Mark.
Thank you.
Mark Nanakovan is Vice President of Cloud Research at Trend Micro.